Good morning, happy Wednesday. We're going to continue reading about Fannie's life here in her fight for justice for all workers. So on December 3rd, 1913, Fannie joined the striking miners in a huge rally to show solidarity. She knew if she spoke out for her dream, she might go to jail. She climbed right up onto the platform. I am free and I have a right to walk or talk any place in this country as long as I obey the law, she said. Miners whistled and shouted. Women and children cheered. The only wrong I have done is to take shoes to the children and colliers whose bare feet are blue from the cruel blasts of winter, Fanny said. If it's wrong to put shoes on those little feet, then I will continue to do wrong as long as I have hands and feet to crawl to colliers. Fanny was arrested for defying the anti-union injunction, but the judge let her off with a warning. She stuck with the striking union families through the winter. They lived in tents, depending on the kindness of others for food and clothing. The women and children sometimes heard gunfire as company guards took strike breakers to the mine each day, and strikers tried to stop them. One guard was wounded, one striker killed. Still, Fanny never stopped believing in her dream. She inspired the women around her to dream too. When the miners wondered if they should quit the strike, their wives told them to hang tough. One spring day in April 1914, a non-union worker neared the mine. A striker threw a punch, and everybody jumped in slugging. With knuckles and clubs, the union men chased the strikebreakers from the mine to the railroad depot and put them on the next train out of town. 11 men were accused of being ringleaders, and the fracas and arrested. Fanny took no part in the fight, but she was arrested too. I do not advise violence, Fanny said, except in self-defense as a last resort. Union lawyers argued to free Fanny and the men, but they lost the case. Fanny was sentenced to 6 months in jail, and the union did not have enough money to post her bail. Union members photographed her behind bars and put the pictures on postcards. People from all over the country sent the postcards to President Woodrow Wilson, asking him to free Fanny. This is a picture of her sitting in her jail cell in Marion County. Bail for Fanny and fellow labor organizer arrested with her, James Oates, was set for $3,000. So that was about $71,600 in current dollars. Fairmont, West Virginia, spring 1914. This was what the postcard looked like that they sent to President Woodrow Wilson. Your Excellency, I herewith respectfully petition you to release Fanny Sellens, at present confined in the Marion County Jail, Fairmont, West Virginia, under a 6-month sentence inflicted by Judge A. G. Dayton. She is not charged with the violation of any law of the state or nation, but with the alleged violation of Judge Dayton's own injunction, which has been appealed. She is the only woman in jail containing no provisions for women, and this makes her imprisonment simply torture. So then they left a spot there for people to sign and write their own address. Thousands of postcards like this were printed for Union supporters to send to the President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson, on Fanny's behalf. The front of the postcard featured the previous photo of Fanny in her jail cell. President Wilson eventually pardoned Fanny Sellens. Living with the poor miners' families, Fanny had become weak from working so hard and not eating enough. In jail, her health grew worse. The Marion County Jail had no sanitary facilities for women. In her cell, Fanny was in view of any men who might walk by, some of whom were drunk and disorderly. The jail cells were constructed in tiers 3 high, and Fanny's cell was on the top tier where men below could peer up at her through a grating. The jail physician wrote the Marion County Board of Health that due to close confinement and very hot weather, Fanny risked great injury to her health. The coal company and the strikers finally reached an agreement. Miners would get a raise in pay, but the union would have to go more. But the union would have to go. Miner owners refused to deal with the UMWA. The union raised enough money to free Fanny after she had served 3 months. Later, President Woodrow Wilson pardoned her and several other union organizers. After her stretch in jail, most folks would not have blamed Fannie if she gave up fighting for poor workers. But Fannie could not stand by and do nothing. In her mind, it was a matter of justice. So, something to kind of think about here when we say that they were willing to give more pay, but they didn't want to deal with the union. So, they were saying, we'll pay you more, but we don't want a union here because we don't want to answer to them. And part of that reason is because with the union, they required certain working conditions. So, they wanted, with unions, you can say, like, it has to be safe. This mine needs to be operating as safe as possible for us. We want, breaks. We want to be able to drink water. We want to be able to do these things. It was more than just pay for them. It was just kind of like how they were treated at work. And so it was important for them to kind of stay as strong as they could. It wasn't just about the money. It came down to a lot more than that. Labor War, Western Pennsylvania, 1916. Across the West Virginia state line in Pennsylvania's Alkiski Valley, known as Black Valley, some of the richest corporations in America piled up profits. Their owners, such as J.P. Morgan and Andrew Carnegie, wore diamonds, while their workers wore rags. Again, Fannie's fiery words reminded workers that they deserved better. In a wave of strikes in western Pennsylvania, box makers, steel workers, laundrywomen, and machinists all won higher pay. Still, coal miners in the Allegheny and Kiskiminetas River valleys, a region rich with natural resources, seemed stuck in poverty. Natrona sat on the western bluff of Allegheny River, northeast of Pittsburgh. The town bustled with Italian, Polish, and Slavic immigrant families who raised flocks of ducks and geese on the river much as they had in the old country. Wealthier, native-born Americans in Allegheny County gave the place the derogatory name Ducktown. They were suspicious of the foreigners who didn't speak English, ate strange foods, and had strange customs. This is business tycoon John Pierpont, J.P. Morgan's daughter, center, and friends frequented the Coaching Club of New York to enjoy polio, horse racing, and tennis. The date is unknown on this. All right, that's all we're going to do for today. Go ahead and fill out the slides and hit submit, and then we'll see you tomorrow.